Like to call to order the Employee Benefits Review Committee meeting. Uh, Not, we'll dispense with roll call because there's a sign-up sheet going around. So that'll bring us to the approval of the agenda.
Motion approved.
Have a motion to hear second.
Second.
Second, all in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Motion passed. Next item on the agenda is public comments. Do you have any comments from the public?
I don't have any.
All right, moving right along. Item E, approval of the minutes.
They're the minutes of December 4th and December 18th. And I handed them out this morning, so if everybody's had a chance to look at
Question.
them. Okay.
On the December 4th, it said discussion of term extension plans. Kyle Castman, One America. He's actually with. what's the name of it?
USI.
USI.
Okay, I'll make that change.
I know he was talking about that.
He was, and I know that. I just
Well, I
didn't
just.
catch it. Thank you for catching
And the year on the agenda, not, I mean,
it.
not to walk
Today's,
through it.
yeah, today's year.
Oh, well, I know you.
I'll fix that.
There.
I did it before you looked.
I know, I'm marking through. I know.
Any other corrections or comments regarding the minutes of December 4th and December 18th? If not, the chair will entertain a motion for approval
Yeah, approval with that one change. I'll make that change. It's not on the signature signs.
or have a motion to hear second. Seconded, all in favor, state by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. The next item is old business. And number one, update on TCRS. Yes, I believe you've been speaking with him.
I have, and he is gonna be a few minutes late. He got hung up in traffic, so he said he'd probably be about 5 or 10 minutes late, so he should be here anytime. I made a copy and printed this back out. There were some additional questions that he asked me to forward to our current carrier, and I did that. And I got back pretty quick response that from them that they sent those questions on to Voya, which I wasn't surprised about because they were really more related to the once the rollover occurs. And I haven't heard anything back from Voya, but Mr. Lawrence told me that I probably wouldn't because they probably wouldn't respond until after the rollover. So that's where we're at on those right now. He did say in his email that the funds that we currently have should map over to the Voice program with little to no change. So we should maintain the same funds. And if I could just, we'll just kind of pause on that until Mr. Armstead gets here, but if we want to move on into the pay study, I'll give y'all an update on it. In regards to it, all of the department heads and the focus group have met with the representatives from the pay study group. And now they will go back and they'll compile that data from those interviews and compare it along with job descriptions. They're going to be working on setting a structure up. And once they get that set up, then they'll have a secondary meeting with the department heads sometime around April 14th. And, kind of show them what they got, see if anything needs to be tweaked. And then they'll bring it back to a final review. And after that final review, we'll try to present it back to the committee sometime after April 24th. And look into, once the committee has looked at it, then looking to take it to the council to see what they want to do about implementing it from there. So that probably won't happen until after the end of April. And unless anybody has any questions on that, that's all I got.
How does that fit in with where we're at on like the budget cycle and stuff? Is that still early enough that you can consider it as you're looking at the budget? Are you already deep into the budget?
Yeah, usually payroll and stuff is the last thing that is done.
Okay.
And that is done primarily administratively. And it depends on what the council chooses.
We're hoping that if everything flows like on his schedule, that we'll be able to present it at the May meetings.
Of the council.
Yeah, and then of course in May is when we start having budget meetings anyway, so if for some reason we can't schedule it, we'll have several options of meetings in there that we, may can present it at.
Okay.
So. I don't think I have anything else unless y'all have any more questions.
We're kind of in a holding pattern, right?
He's here.
He's here.
Oh, sorry. I did not see you come in. You're quiet. Okay, at this time, we'd like to recognize Mr. James Armstead with Retire Ready.
I'm trying to pull up this fee comparison. Know where we talked about the fee comparison?
Yes, sir, the fee comparison, that's this, right? Okay, and I just told the committee, I'll go ahead and update you, the extra questions that you sent to me, I have sent those out, and they responded back to me that, they have forwarded them over to Voya, but they don't anticipate Voya answering them until after the actual rollover takes place, which will be around, I think it's the second week in April, is that right?
10th, 11th, 12th.
I mean, that's kind of where we're at now, though. We're gonna do another fee comparison.
Right,
Because those fees will change, and, they could very well go down. I think that the state's fees will certainly still be better. But what's the bigger company, they might go down. I mean, nothing changes about in terms of the, education. Yes, I mean, I don't know if your ramps will change or things like that, but the whole thing you'll have to consider is the fees, the education structure, and if you decide to go into CRS, this makes a lot of sense, obviously, if you get everything under one umbrella in terms of a very comprehensive CRS. But as I'm hoping once I'm trying to pull up, but as I said before, the fees are currently pretty significantly lower with the state, so we're just gonna have to wait and see. This could take time.
do you mind explaining the
Yeah,
details once you get it pulled up, because I did last week, or week before last when we met, but I want to make sure that, I didn't miss anything, they have correct information.
Flip space rapture detected.
So how's everyone been?
That's all you heard. Job, Turner.
So as you can see, it's the current funds on the left are the funds that you all have in your current plan, and you have a lot more funds in the state's plan, and that's on by design. We only have 17 funds, and that's on purpose. I think it's we don't want to overwhelm people, so you can see we just take the funds on the left to compare them to the funds on the right, which are ours, and ours are repeated a lot of times, right? Because we have less funds, so we take the ones that are most similar to the funds on the left and convert them into the funds on the right. It's exactly what Boyd's gonna do, with your current funds. They're gonna move everything over into their like funds, okay? It's just the way it's gonna work. It's just gonna move like funds. And that's what we'll eventually do as well. So it just kind of takes the funds and then the fees that you're currently being charged, by your current, by One America in comparison to our fees and with the admin fees and, expense ratios combined, it's a, almost a 51% savings for the employees. Those are employee savings. And we'll do the exact same thing with the Void Fund. So once you all know what funds the money's going into, and we'll ask for the exact same information that we just did with One America. Because moving to the state's plan takes time, and this is happening very quickly in terms of Void. So there's nothing we can do now. We need to wait for that to happen.
Now, they did tell me that the anticipation is that the current funds that we have should map over to the Voya platform with little to no change.
Yeah, they'll go to similar funds. It's exactly what will happen here. They might have some of the same funds. They very well might. So it'll be interesting to see what that looks like. Be interesting to see what the fee structure looks like. Because if they're taking over from One American, maybe the fee structure doesn't change a lot. Maybe it gets a little cheaper. I doubt it gets more expensive. Because Voya's a big company. So we have done fee comps for them where it's 25% cheaper, right, instead of 50%. But we'll see. We'll have to see what the Voya does. Then at that point, you'll have to make that decision whether you want to freeze. The main question is there any kind of time length you've got to stay in Voya? I don't think there will be, since they're making you do this, right? And at that point, we got to decide if we're going to convert or freeze, like we talked about last time. We're going to convert all the funds over to the state's plan, or are we going to freeze the funds and allow all new contributions to go to the state? And then, of course, we can talk about TCRS anytime. That's a separate conversation. So,
Didn't he say it would take about a year once it went to Voya? Did I get that
I didn't
wrong?
bring those meetings with me, but there was something that would have to stay for a
think it
year.
was stable value.
Stable value.
yeah, you can use it, and usually you can move that over. That's common as well, and that money just moves over a year later.
Yeah.
So
So we move everything else but that.
yeah, as long as it's going to be up to, really, we're going to take whatever. It's going to be up to your contract with Voya. So you have to dig through that contract and find out if there's any, if you do a conversion, if there'll be any market value adjustments, which the current climate there might not be, because of the way the interest rates are. So it's not a bad time to do a conversion. Ones we've done recently, we've seen limited. Like I think the last one we did was about a $40,000 adjustment total, and the city paid. So then we'll be or you can just avoid that market value adjustment altogether, freeze that Voya plan, and still move the money over individually, which is more of a lift, and also requires your payroll to be doing two different things. Right? But I think again, first step again is looking at those fees. So you have something to take to the council, saying, this is the fee difference. This is the fact that no more fiduciary responsibility. That's a big piece, right? State takes that on. And then the education we can provide the employees on a very regular basis. Yes, sir.
A couple of things. They presented to what was our pension committee, I guess, last week. They're here to sell their program. So I'd like to hear your side of a couple of the arguments they made. Their one argument is, yes, our fees are higher, but then they brought in their returns on the equivalent funds. They're saying we get you a better return. Can you get us, they're providing return comparisons. I know that's more work for you. Can you look at a little?
Those are on our website.
Okay.
You can see the returns past 10 years.
Can you get us a couple, just not the word lazy, but just so we know which, because I don't know what all funds they.
I can send you the link.
Okay. And then the other thing that they're selling now, they've got this new, I'd call it a little bit of a complicated plan that's basically trying to be a DB, which they've got a new plan where they get our employees in, starting them in stocks, and then they're buying, as they get close to retirement, they're switching them over to annuities. And basically at the end, they're guaranteeing a monthly payment to the employees, which the sales pitch is the dollar figure that they get is higher than TCRS pays out. Do you have any opinion on that? Have you seen any of those type of plans?
I've seen them before. I don't know. I think they're still very market dependent. Whereas TCRS isn't, right? There's no market dependency there. It's just simply a formula. Um, I don't know a lot about these annuities that these companies sell, to be honest with you, because we don't do those, because we have TCRS, and we have a stable value fund, obviously, that is guaranteed in our lineup, but, I can't speak to that, because we don't do that on our side, but in terms of returns, yeah, I can send you the links, I'll send Lisa the link this afternoon.
Okay.
That shows you all the different funds. And, I would also say that we look at these funds quarterly and we switch them out. There's a watch list. Our website is very transparent. See what we're looking at, see what we switch things to. I got a letter a few months ago saying, hey, this fund's being switched to this fund. So, I think that's a bit of a, when you say our funds are returning more, I don't necessarily agree. Because I think that depends on the stock market.
Sure.
And I think we've got really good funds in our lineup, and depending on how aggressive or conservative you are, that's going to change how your returns are, regardless of what plan you're in.
I think the way he explained it is whatever the stock market was year over year, it would never go lower. Your payment would be paid out based on where the stock market ended.
It was on your
Birthday or
it was on your birthday every year, and whatever your floor was for that year, for your whole fund, whatever the floor was, it would never, whatever it was at that birth year, or that birthday, it would never go lower. And so everything that year would be based off that as far as a monthly retirement. And that floor would be guaranteed amount of basically a life insurance policy that would go to your beneficiaries. But just say your next birthday, if there was a decrease in the market, it would not go below that floor. If there was an increase, that became your new floor.
Right.
So that was,
that was through the 401k.
That was really good. And that started at their 45th birthday.
49.
49,
48.
48. Sometime after 45.
And that was protected by insurance companies and annuities. That's obviously not being done by market return. That's
We do.
buying a bunch
Yeah, I've heard of these annuity products. In general, I don't really have an opinion on it because I don't know much about it.
Yeah.
But I will say we've had a lot of places that have had these things that have switched. So I think you're still depending on the market, right? At the end of the day, you are, which you are with any DC plan, but I don't think you compare it to TCRS.
Yeah, I mean, I did just a little bit of research where I could. There's not a lot online about them, and it seemed like, as you would expect, the fees on the annuity side of it are super high. I mean, there's high.
Yeah.
So you're losing on your upside.
And you're not paying, in TCRS, you're not paying anything. Right? So if you're in the pension plan, you're just paying, if the city decides, you're just putting your 5% in to help fund your benefit. Or the city can pay for the whole thing. But there's no fees in TCRS except this admin fee to the city. That's it. So I think you're talking apples and oranges here. I don't think you can compare one of those annuity plans to TCRS.
I don't really have a question, but I know Henry, he does that for a living, and he had a lot of questions, and he's not here today, so.
Yeah, I just texted him. I was hoping he was going to be here. He's got our good questions because he's in the business, but he's not responding.
Well,
He had a lot of
I like
questions.
for him to email them to me because there's people in my department that know a lot more about the intricacies of these plans than myself.
So he could email you
Absolutely.
questions.
Yeah, and I can,
The immediate
we
thing.
can put some heads together and get some good answers for them.
Okay.
Probably that would be the best thing to do because we have a whole deferred comp department. That's all they do. Now, in terms of, I'm in charge of you guys adopting these plans and in charge of y'all getting education in the plans and in charge of any TCRS onboarding should you choose to go to TCRS route. And again, as we talked about in TCRS, you can come in at the beginning of any quarter and, easiest way is just to move forward, but you can look backwards as well.
I did have one question.
Please.
So if somebody, let's say hypothetically, the city joins the hybrid plan or whatever it's called.
Well, yeah. You can
Okay.
do either, any of them. Hybrid
If you only join one, or you don't join them all,
is
okay,
one,
join
either
all.
legacy or hybrid.
Okay, well, let's say you join hybrid. This is just hypothetical. And then say you hire somebody from Murfreesboro that's been on a legacy, and Murfreesboro may not have legacy. I'm just making that up.
Yeah.
If somebody's on a legacy plan and they come to Shelbyville, and we're on hybrid. We're supposed to TCRS, but that's two different plans, correct? So it's not like they can just pick right up and add to their legacy. They would
No,
be on hybrid, right?
They'll be on hybrid, but let's just say I'm a legacy of the state. Let's say
I was too,
let's say I
yeah.
took a job with Brentwood. They're hybrid.
Okay,
I'm gonna switch to hybrid. But all my legacy time stays legacy.
right, but.
All
but
my
it is-
service goes together.
Okay.
So my benefit when I retire is 1.575% on legacy, and then 1% on hybrid plus all the 401k money.
So that's
One retirement date, split benefit, one check.
split benefit. So you
That's-
can't add the hybrid, you can't add the, legacy.
No,
It's a higher payout, correct?
it is, but you're not getting a 5% contribution into your 401k either.
Right, well.
So that's a big piece of it, and that can be more powerful than
Right,
the pension piece, really.
right.
So, I mean, the hybrid plan.
But you don't
Hybrid
need
plan,
somebody-
if you take a hybrid member next to a legacy member who's never saved any extra money, and there's tons of them. Most legacy people, a lot of legacy people say, I've got retirement, I'm good. I'm not
Right.
saving extra. Hybrid comes up better every time.
I'm not
That's not-
arguing
yeah.
that, I'm just saying, if
It-
somebody thinks they're gonna come here and keep their legacy,
They-
they couldn't. As far as adding on, they
Adding
got,
to it, yeah.
6 years, they're not gonna have 7, 8, 9, 10.
But the beauty of it is we take one salary number, right? So this happened when the
If
state,
they're vested,
when the state moved to the legacy plan.
Right.
Our state troopers almost exclusively from local governments, right?
right,
They moved from legacy to hybrid.
right,
First, they were, thinking, oh gosh, I'm getting, but I'm like, did you get a raise? Yeah, $30,000 raise. Great. New AFC, we apply it to all your legacy time too. One salary. So it can be really beneficial. If you come somewhere for a higher salary and you're switching from legacy to hybrid, we're going to apply that higher salary to all your legacy time when you retire.
but it's not gonna add to your years, their legacy,
But your total number of years, it adds together.
Yeah, total number actually.
right,
So
So
the
you got-
calculation in the end will still be,
Yeah, let's say you do 30 years, because with hybrid, legacy is 30 years of service or age 60. Hybrid is 65 invested or rule of 90, which is years of retirement plus years of service plus age of retirement plus 90. So you could retire when you're 60, you start when you're 30, right? So it just adds to your years. And so let's say you started when you were 25, and you did legacy for 15 years, and you could retire under the rule of 90 before you're 60. And just your hybrid years are calculated at 1%, your legacy years 1.575%, one salary number for all. And you get one check. And then you're also, during your hybrid years, you're also getting 5% dumped into your 401k. It's a non-match.
that's paid by the city,
Mm-hmm.
and 5% is probably coming out of their check.
Yeah,
Employee
it is.
check.
Yep. 5%'s coming out of their check, but it's their money, they get it back.
I
Get it back
understand
through
that.
their benefit, or if they pass away, the beneficiary gets it, or
I
if they leave,
understand.
they can take a refund.
There's not under mandatory contribution right now, that would be new for some.
Right. How many employees do you have again, full time?
10.
210, okay. Okay. So it'd be a 9%, hybrid would be a 9% flat contribution on the city, never changes. Whereas legacy would send you a new rate every year. Hybrid, it's 4% going into TCRS, 5% going into 401k on the city side.
9% city, 5% employee,
Yep, and the city's put,
14%,
yeah, and then the employees putting in 5% in TCRS,
right?
and then we're automatically enrolling them in the 401k at 2%. Which they can opt out of that part, still get the 5%.
So they're usually gonna be at 7%.
Employees at 7%. So 16% of total compensation goes towards retirement in the hybrid plan if the employee does nothing, and that's a really good thing. And most employees put more than 2%. That's our goal. That's our job. Let's come out and tell them, look, you're automatically enrolled at 2%, but this is what an extra percent can do. They can
Right.
put up to the IRS limit next.
But we have a lot that don't put in 401k now.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's 100% dependent on education. Like 100%. How often are the reps are out here talking to? Because they do a really good job of saying, hey, here's how much TCRS is going to replace. Here's how much Social Security might replace. Where's the rest of the money going to come from? And that's their job.
They come to you. How often do y'all come?
Much as y'all want.
But not regular, just
I mean,
on request.
No, I mean, in Rutherford County, he comes once a month, and they have an office for him. He sits there, and he has appointments all day long. So if you can fill a day, yeah, they'll come once a quarter. I mean, I'd say with a city this size, once a quarter.
Do they enroll people in the TCRS?
Yep. No, employees don't do anything at TCUS. That's all about on the employer side.
Employer enrolls them.
Mm-hmm. They're enrolled, they're automatically enrolled in the 401k. So they have to be because it's part of the plan. And they're enrolled through our system we don't know about them until the first report comes in. And they get a packet that says, welcome to TCRS, here's how you log on to TCRS and name your beneficiary, here's how you log on to your 401k. If you want to opt out of your 2%, you can. We've got a 90% stick rate with cities because we're asking the employees to do something, right? We're asking them to do something. And it's psychological, right? So if they can, a lot of times they just don't do it. 2% keeps going in. We think 7% is a good number. So, but again, our job is not to sell you anything. It's just to give you information, what I can do.
So Scott, right now, the city puts in 7%, but with this, the city would put in 9%, is that what you're
With
saying?
hybrid, yeah, with a hybrid plan, it'd be 9%.
So it'd be 2% more, and then the employees would be based on 2%, which with the savings that is being taken out of them right now between the two, kind of be a wash with what they probably.
But they'd be putting in 5% into TCO.
Okay. So I think that percentage in between those two, with the savings that they'll get as far as what the return is in the end, is
Yeah.
going to be beneficial in the long run. So.
None of this affects the old DB plan though.
No. That's kind of like Franklin, right? Franklin has an old EV plan. We're just now at the point where we got more TCRS than old EV. That's slowly dying out. All new hires are TCRS.
I think the thing is it's like taxpayers. People don't mind paying taxes if they see things get done with the tax dollars. I don't think people mind putting in money in their own savings account retirement if they see that it's performing the way that they want it to perform. A lot of my employees, though, I get that they don't want to put their money in because they had it in and then all of a sudden, it's just staying where it is. Now the stock market goes up and goes down, but the last 5 years, I think it's pretty much went up. So they should be doing pretty good. I think education wise, I know that once a quarter, the people that we have now come in. I haven't been very successful as far as getting good education from them. Even getting logged into the O program and everything that I had, it was hard to even. Well, I still can't log into the old program, put it that way. And then with some of the things, I think it's pretty easy to say, hey, what year are you going to retire getting this plan? I was never told the others. It was just, well, that's more risk. It sounds like the education that we'd be getting from you guys might be a little bit more.
It's a little different because our reps are 17 of them. They're not paying on commission. Like they're not out to make money, right? That's part of the contract. Like Empower is the record keeper. They work for Empower.
Mm-hmm.
Their job is to record keep and educate. That's it. Empower is the second largest record keeper in the U.S. behind Fidelity. We've got Fidelity funds in our lineup. What funds don't we have? Empower. And that's by design. The treasurer said, nope, you have no skin in the game. Your job is to educate and record keep. None. So that's all they do. And I'll just give you an example. I do these meetings once a year, and Chelsea doesn't with me. We do them at lunch. Sit in front of the screen. We spend an hour with one of the reps. They look at all my stuff. They look at all her stuff. She's a huge piece of our retirement. Big job. They look at all her stuff, all the real property we own, everything. And they paint a picture of how we're looking. We make changes. It's a gap analysis at the end of the day. And those can be done anytime. Those are done virtually, or if you have them come in once a quarter, they can do them, one-on-one. But I always encourage spouses to be involved because if you've got two working people, then retirement readiness review on one is not going to do any good. So, but that's the way we operate. It's education, not sales. They're not. I mean, that's why when you see the refunds on these funds that we have, when you see rebates, a regular company is going to keep those, but they have to make money. I get it. We pass them on to the employee. take it off their expense ratios. So,
So if the city, let's say today, decided, you know what, this is what we're gonna do, we're gonna go with the hybrid plan. Can you kind of walk us through what has to happen?
yeah, well, you could immediately, this Voya is gonna be what, a 457 or a 401A, right? Is that that's how they operate normally? You would just immediately adopt the state's 401K. And you could do it slowly in the fact that, the 401K is the vehicle for the hybrid plan, right?
Yeah.
And you would start at the beginning of the next, whatever the next quarter is. So we'd have to get creation documents from the city, which is just a formality. And then this TCRS board accepts you, they meet once a quarter. And then after that, any new hires, anyone currently here, like you could leave what you have alone. And anyone currently here could say, I don't want to do this. I want to stay with this structure we have now.
Mhm.
That's one option. Then all new hires come in. New hires come in regardless, all right? Or your current employees can say, I want in, and most of them will, if they have at least 5 years left, because they don't get a guaranteed payment after 5 years. But they don't have to. Why? Because we're not going to make someone who's a year away from retirement go into a plan they got to invest in 5 years. So they all have optional membership, statutorily required after adoption. And it's pretty straightforward, just going forward. And then you could, whatever, this One America / Voya thing, you could just let it be, or you could, we could look at conversion or freezing it and moving the assets individually.
But we have to pick the hybrid, or you guys have a straight 401.
Legacy, yeah. Oh, it's either 401K, legacy, 401K / 457, legacy, or hybrid. Now, all of our legacy employers, the county, they have the 401K and 457 too, but they don't put any money in it. It's just optional. Legacy is pretty expensive.
So just
Sure.
so I'm clear, so if the city says that they want to go hybrid, but you got some employees that are, in their last 5 years, 5 to 10 years, and say, I'd rather just go with the 401K option with the state, would that be an option?
Yeah, but you'd have to get rid of all the Voya One America stuff like we were talking about.
Yeah.
And we would mimic in the resolution, we would say those who opt out of TCRS get X amount put in the 401K from the cities. We would mimic what you're doing now.
Okay.
But just on the state side. We do that all the time. And there's usually a handful that do it. Like we just did it with Thompson Station. And they were like, there was a handful that said, we've been in this plan forever. I just want to keep getting DC money. That's fine. But the new hires do not have a choice.
Gotcha.
It'd be full-time only, unless you decided to include part-timers, which is up to y'all, but it's not widespread.
And you did say the first time you came that this would be immediate enrollment, correct?
For new hires.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Anyone hired after adoption immediately gets enrolled.
No waiting period. Okay.
There's just it's file, you get trained. And then there's a file upload through your payroll system that you just do once a month.
What was your vesting period?
For the TCRS piece, 5 years, no vesting on the 401K side. The hybrid plan, you're immediately vested in the 401K side, which is right there is another advantage of the hybrid plan. Like when I joined the legacy plan, if I had stayed 3 years, I'm going to walk away with nothing. That was non-contributory, so I didn't have any money. Hybrid plan, you have an employee that stays for 2 years, they walk away with every cent in 401K that the city's put in for them. Theirs from day one. They get something. And of course, they can refund their contributions out of the TCRS piece.
They walk away with their money that they put in, but what about the city's money?
That too.
They get to walk away with that too?
Yep.
Just on the 401K side?
Just in the 401K side.
What about the?
That just TCRS side, the city's money just stays in your pool.
You gotta track them then forever till they're due some benefit at some.
Not if they don't vest. Like, let's say they stay 6 years and they go to the private sector. Yeah, in the hybrid plan at age 65, they've got a benefit to turn on based on 6 years of service. Or if they're in legacy plan at 60, you got a benefit to turn on. Like if I left today, so I'm going to turn it to, if I left today and went private practice law, at age 60, I've got 17 years of service. Everything's frozen in time. Salary, my service. Based on 17 years of service and my high salary, at 60, I've got a benefit to turn on forever. Potentially for my beneficiaries, if I choose it. So that's very, very common. People, switch careers, go to the private sector, leave the state, But they have, as long as they're vested, they have a vested benefit to turn on the TCRS side. Then the 401k side, they can pull it out at 59.
And if you're not vested, you just get back what you put into.
If they want to, or they have a 7-year grace period to come back to any TCRS employer and keep building it. But yeah, they get their money back. It's always their money for the TCRS side.
So when you get to the point of retirement, whatever your years of service and everything, there's a pot of money that you're vested in.
There is a pot of money that the city and the employee contributes to, and we invest it internally. And then, we're over 112% funded for the local government group. And we make sure there's state law, like unlike a lot of states, we are required to be funded.
But in that, is there a certain formula for the payout of that from a pot of money? Some people only work a few years at a small salary. Some people work at a small salary in their last 5 years. It's a big one, maybe.
Yep.
There's a certain pot of money.
We take
gonna be
one
assigned to that person.
signed to the city. Every city has a pot of money. So we take, when they retire, depending on what plan they're in, hybrid plan, so we'll say hybrid, they're getting a 5% non-match dumped in their 401k. Whatever that is what it is, right? It's whatever the market does. TCRS side, when they retire, it's 1% multiplied by the average final compensation, which is the average of your highest 60 consecutive months. Most of us are the last 5 years, times your years of service, gives you an annual benefit. So 30 years of service, 30% income replacement for life. Legacy plan, 1.575% times average final compensation times years, so 30 years of service is a 47% replacement for life. Every extra year, your benefit increases by either 1% or 1.575, depending on what plan you choose.
Trying to wrap my head around if I'm an employee and I'm putting in 14%, which would be the city's 9% plus my 5% into a 401k plan. It's all my money at any time when I walk away. But if I stay till retirement, in theory, I've got a huge pot of money there that I could annuitize part of it or whatever I want to do with it.
Yeah.
And it's my money, guaranteed money. But if I die in 5 years, where does that money go? It just stays in the city's pot, doesn't it?
Well, if you die, there's death
Like
benefit.
the 401k side,
On the pension side.
that's only gonna be like the 5%.
Yeah, well, the 401k side is going to be the 5% plus whatever the employee puts in. They can put up to the IRS limit. On the pension side, after let's say it's 10 years, if they die after they're working here and they die, they've been here for 11 years. There's a death benefit. Spouse gets paid out the rest of their lives. If that death benefit's after 10 years. If they stay 7 years, then the spouse gets back their contributions, which is the 5% they've been putting in TCRS plus interest. Lump sum. They always get their money back. They always get what they put in back. But you're right. Like that money, the flip side of the coin is if you put all that into a DC vehicle, would it be better? Maybe. That's an answer that we never can answer, right? We don't know what the stock market's going to do. So, I mean, the advantage of TCRS is that guaranteed lifetime benefit. That's the big advantage of it.
With our current plan, firefighters can take their 401k out when they're 55.
Yeah.
Just, how's that for TCRS?
Same with ours, yeah. It's called the Rule of 55. If you're retired, you can pull it out at 55. For the 401k. Or if you're in service, you can start pulling it at 59.5 even while you're working. Then, of course, we'll give you the 457 too. And they can pull that separation from service. I'll be honest, I put all my money in there. Because what if I need to leave when I'm 49 and I need money? I can start pulling that money immediately. No benefit. But the city money always goes in the 401k because of FICA taxes. So I have, a state that does a small match for us that goes in the 401k. My money. So
you said hybrid is 1% a year. So if you work 30 years, it's 30% replacement.
Mm-hmm.
So if your average was 50,000, you'd be getting 15,000 a year.
Yep. It'll be higher for legacy. But legacy, again, legacy, most employers will choose legacy and then deferred comp is voluntary. Because with legacy, we're gonna send you a new rate every year. Employer rate. Every single year. We have to make sure it's funded. Hybrid, we're overfunding on the front end. At 4%, the 4% the city puts in, it's overfunding it by several percent. Putting that in a stabilization reserve in case we need it.
Under legacy, what is your percent the first year, or do you have it calculated?
6.9.
So 6.9.
That's assuming a 5% employee contribution.
So legacy 6.9.
And you can choose 5% employee contribution, 2.5% or 0. Not a whole lot of zeros out there, but they're there. There's a few. Around here, closest place that does 0 would be Rutherford County. Besides that, everyone's, well, no, Rutherford County's contributory.
Not sure how it works here, but, I was in a similar state plan in the state of Michigan, and I was vested in one area, and then when I went to work somewhere else, I had to work there a year, and then I became vested in that. How does that work here?
We're consolidated, so it's one vesting, one plan. So let's say you work here a year, and then you go to the county. You got a year of service, so you got to work 4 years for the county. We see the police officers. They pop, and within the TCRS system, we call it chasing the high fives. Remember I said we take one salary. They pop around like popcorn. They go from city to county to city to county to try to get that high five number that we apply to all their service. Because we're a consolidated system with over 740 employees.
So once you're vested in TCRS, it doesn't matter what city you're vested in.
State, teaching, cities, counties, doesn't matter. Like when your employees log onto their TCRS accounts, you mine just says state, because I'm in the state the whole time. But when I would look at them daily, it'll say state, Bedford County, it all goes together. So that's another advantage, I guess, of TCRS is a lot of this is public safety training. A lot of it. Because they'll have, you want someone, an experienced person, they've got 15 years of TCRS service, they want to keep getting service. That's why Gallatin joined. That's the only reason they joined.
Because it helps people move around.
They couldn't hire anybody.
It attracts more people in when you have the.
They couldn't hire, they were having a hard time hiring experienced police department.
Is it only gonna attract people if compensation is near or at the same as them? So and I know that we're talking, this apples and oranges, we're talking two different things here. Pay study is one of them and CRS is the other. But if we're not near or equal to or matching what other people are doing from a pay standpoint, are we just now making it easier for our safety folks to leave?
Well,
Chasing those high fives or whatever.
No, I mean, it's a good point.
The way that I kind of look at that, you also have the very experienced ones that maybe they're working in a place that is a little bit more dangerous. And for their last 5 years, want to go to a place that's maybe a little less dangerous. I know people are always, right now, so since COVID, everybody chases the wage, it seems like. But at least gets us in the game, I think, for the police and for the fire, to where the TCRS right now, we can't even get in the game no matter what we pay. If we don't have the TCRS and they're trying to build their retirement, which everybody should be, I think if we don't have it, then I think, Chief, have you ran into people saying, oh, you don't have TCRS, I'm gonna take this other job at the same pay, because you don't have the TCRS, or Chief? I mean, have you guys ran into that?
Well, it's the perception of early retirement. Yeah, I mean, I know y'all hear me say that all the time. It is literally that perception. Now that I'm getting closer to retirement age, I understand what retirement really means. But when you're 25 or 30 and you got married, and you've got 2 kids, and you're looking, they just say, oh, XYZ has TCRS, they have an early retirement. I mean, I've had people leave multiple times for that perception that, oh, I've been here 10 years, but I can go to XYZ department and I'm still gonna be able to retire, 5 or 10 years earlier. So I'm going, and it's not their contribution. It's not even fathoming into it. It's just the fact that we have an option to retire.
Well, a lot of our cities do, like there's public safety enhancements you can add to TCRS that allow you to go at 55 and 25 years and give you an extra bump. So like Brentwood, they can go at 55 or 25. If they have 25 years of service, they can go at 55. They get an extra 0.75% on top of the 1.575 for 7 years. So there's all kinds of enhancements you can add to TCRS for public safety only. But you can also look at that. We also have cities that say we want to, for our public safety, we're going to give them an extra 2.
What we've lost has gone to an agency that has TCRS. Either it's a state or Bedford County, Rutherford County. They're all down, where they're going for that reason now. Most of the time the pay's better, so the TCRS go along.
But you're also in a little pocket where you've got some cities around here that don't have it. Y'all, Pulaski, Murfreesboro, Smyrna, Laverne, no TCRS. Will that change? Maybe. I mean, they're all, I have those conversations with them. Columbia doesn't have TCRS. We talk to them about it a lot. But just like Franklin up and decided to do it. So it's a growing program, obviously, and it's the majority of our counties have it. Utility districts are a growing group, but cities are a growing group. Cities almost got all.
Questions, comments? And any,
I'm always available via email for any questions y'all have. You go home and think of something.
If you send me that link that they
I'll
asked
send you
for,
the performance
and
link.
then when I send that out, I'll include his email address, and then if you come up with any particular questions.
There's going to be questions I can't answer, especially if it's real specific to the funds and stuff like that. Well, I've got people that can answer them for us. So, but in terms of adoption, yeah, that's really how it works. For either plan creation documents, but you got to look at TCRS and deferred comp separately unless you're going with a hybrid plan. So you got to adopt that 401k piece with it.
no further questions while we have Mr. Armstead before us.
I think it'll be interesting once we get the VOIA information, because that's another step, right? Just to see what that's going to look like. Because I always tell cities this: if you have a deferred comp plan that is similar in fees to the state, you're getting the education you want, and you don't mind the fiduciary responsibility, don't switch. I'm not in the business of selling you a deferred comp plan. I'm offering you what we have in the state.
We've got a company that handles the fiduciary.
Yeah, exactly. A good third party. So I mean, y'all have one. There's so many places I go, they don't have anything. So just those are the things I consider: education and fees, the big things. If you're happy, it's fine. We can always add TCRS. So I just I'm always here to answer questions, and this is something that happened in 2012 when the treasurer saw kind of a disparity in the marketplace and said, let's offer this low fee state plan to everybody. That's what we've done. So, the questions?
There's no further questions or comments. We'll move on to new business.
Thank you.
There is none. Any other business that the committee?
Just if we can talk about our next meeting. I'm gonna be out of town next Thursday, so I'd like to not have that one anyway. And then I don't know, do y'all wanna come back together on April the 2nd, or do you all wanna wait a little while? Let you formulate any questions you might have for Mr. Armstead. It sounds like I'm not gonna have the answers from VOIA until after the middle of April. And then we're not gonna have the pay plan stuff till toward the end of April, so. Y'all tell me. We could meet back together and just kind of catch up on some things on April 2nd or April 9th, or we can wait.
I would think that we wait. I know, that's just my opinion. I know the end of March is gonna get pretty crazy. And if we don't have anything back at that point, I don't see why we would meet. That's one person's opinion. Now, if we get everything back, have the ability to change.
Could I suggest maybe that we have a meeting set for April 16th? And that's about a month away from now. We can at least approve all the minutes that are outstanding. And I can give you any kind of updates we'll have. We probably will have had that secondary meeting from the pay study by then. And I can maybe give you any kind of updates on that. And if y'all have any questions, you can forward those to Mr. Armstead.
And that'll be after the FOIA rollover too.
Yeah, it will be. I probably won't have any information, but maybe I will. But we go ahead and meet on the 16th, and that'll get us back on the schedule. Does that sound good to everybody?
9:30 again.
Do you want us to move it to 10? Does that help?
No, 9:30, I just had something unique this morning, and it had to be, it ran way over.
Okay.
And it's supposed to be over with at 9.
Okay, April 16th at 9:30.
Any further questions or comments? If not, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make that motion.
Motion,
Second.
second. Meeting adjourned.
I thought they were going to stay for